Thank you, General Gansler, for those insightful, thoughtful, and, yeah, even sobering remarks. Now is the time in the ceremony when I ask for objectors. Anyone in the courtroom who wishes to stand in opposition to the motion made by General Gansler to the admission of any young people to the bar of the state of Maryland? Anybody? You're probably wise to do this. Responding on behalf of the court is Judge Harrell.
Chief Judge Bell, my colleagues, Mr. Attorney General, candidates for admission, family, and friends. You've answered two of the three burning questions that I have this morning. Who are you, and what do you want from us? The third question is, which one of you cut me off in a green Toyota on the It's all right, I have your license plate. Well, some of you may feel like your life up to this point has been determined and controlled by others. Today, you begin charting your own destiny much more than you perhaps have heretofore. And as a symbol of that manifest destiny, I have 4 speeches that I prepared for this occasion. And I'm going to ask Mr. Alvarez to pick a number between 1 and 4. Excellent choice.
He really took 4.
It's my pleasure on behalf of the court to respond to the motion of the Attorney General for your admission. Each member of the court extends to each candidate congratulations on your impending admission as a member of the bar of this court, and we welcome you to the legal profession. By joining the bar of this court, you follow in the footsteps of many highly distinguished Maryland lawyers. Today, I'd like to focus on one outstanding Maryland lawyer of fairly recent vintage, who is a part of your legal heritage. As you approach today the front of this building, in which this courtroom is situated, you probably noticed the name of the building, the Robert C. Murphy Courts of Appeal building. The person memorialized in the name of this building is no longer with us, having passed away on October 21st, 2000. The story of his life and career are known to most Maryland lawyers who preceded you. By my remarks today, I hope to pass on to you an appreciation of who was Robert C. Murphy. Born in 1926 in Baltimore, Bob Murphy began his legal career in 1952 as a Special Assistant Attorney General of Maryland, hired by then Attorney General C. Ferdinand Seifert. On his rise to the office of Assistant Attorney General in 1959, Deputy Attorney General in 1963, appointed to that post by the next Attorney General, Tom Fineman, and ultimately himself appointed as Attorney General of Maryland in 1966, although he only served for a few months because he was almost immediately appointed by then Governor Tawes to the newly created Court of Special Appeals. Bob Murphy essentially laid the foundation for our state Attorney General's office to become the modern Department of Law that it is today. When he became Deputy in 1963, the office contained about 35 attorneys, most of them part-time. Most persons in the office had been handpicked and recruited by Bob Murphy. Although relatively small in number, it more than held its own against the major law firms of the state. Numbered among those assistant attorneys general were our own recently retired Judge Alan Wilder, retired Court of Appeals Judges Lawrence Radowski and Robert Harraki, and the late Robert F. Sweeney, who later became the first Chief Judge of the District Court of Maryland. I'll say a little bit more about Bob Sweeney. Upon this rock has now been built an office with over 350 attorneys. his sojourn in the Attorney General's office, Bob demonstrated not only organization building skills, but the keen senses of an accomplished litigator. As Judge Wilner related in an article composed for the University of Maryland Law Review in 1997, commemorating Bob Murphy's retirement the previous year, he described Murphy as a canny trial lawyer. I recall the summer of 1966 or 1967, when a group of rabble-rousing neo-Nazi white supremacists nearly caused a serious riot in South Baltimore and threatened to hold additional rallies in other parts of the city. The lead speaker, an itinerant but charismatic painter from South Carolina, proved himself able to whip up a crowd, and the police were very concerned about the effect of further demonstrations. The state filed a complaint to enjoin the group from holding any further rallies in the city. And in preparation for a hearing 2 days later, we had to figure out a way to overcome the obvious First Amendment problem that Judge O'Donnell, the trial judge, was sure to raise. Bob Murphy, with his amiable Irish charm, struck up a friendship with the young philosopher leader of the group. And perhaps over a bottle of good Irish whiskey, engaged him in pleasant dialogue as to his views, which included a final solution for various groups of undesirables. At the hearing in court, Bob called this young man as the state's first witness, asked him a few friendly questions, and let him explain to the judge in a rambling fashion what he and his group had in mind. The judge shook his head gravely as the witness laid out in some detail his plan to murder or exile in leaky boats the Jews, the blacks, and even the Italians. With this budding Hitler, added the Irish to the list. Judge O'Donnell became visibly incensed, as Bob knew he would, and we had our injunction. The injunction ran for about 3 months, which got us through the summer and early fall. Judge O'Donnell figured that it would expire before the Court of Appeals could get around to reversing it. In 1967, the Court of Special Appeals was created, and Bob Murphy was appointed by the governor as its first chief judge. Immediately confronting him were the tasks of organizing the new court, provisioning it, some of which he reputedly accomplished through clandestine nighttime raids on unguarded legislative, gubernatorial, and other agency offices to liberate furniture, drugs, lamps, and such. And getting heard and decided over 400 criminal appeals that had been dumped on the new court by this court. In the course of deciding these cases, the Court of Special Appeals, under his leadership, created a body of Maryland criminal law that lasts largely intact to this day. All of these things, however, were but prelude to what he was called upon to do next. At the age of 45, Judge Murphy was appointed by Governor Marvin Mandel to the Court of Appeals and concurrently was named its chief judge. That made him the administrative head of the entire Maryland judiciary, a job of enormous responsibilities few can appreciate save our current Chief Judge, Robert Bell. Over the 25 years Chief Judge Murphy presided over this court and over the state judiciary, he was the second longest serving Chief Judge in Maryland history. He authored approximately 550 majority opinions, but very few dissents, because he believed that whenever possible, the court's authority as an institution was best served by speaking with one voice. He created the Maryland Judicial Institute, which is the vehicle for the continuing legal education of Maryland judges. He oversaw the increase in the state judiciary from 40 judges with a $5 million budget to 254 judges with a $170 million budget and 3,500 non-judicial employees. And he expanded the use of